The day I found out my sister took my college money, I was sitting at the kitchen table going through my financial aid papers. My acceptance letter to Harvard was right beside me. It had been my dream school since I was 13. I worked hard to get here, keeping a perfect GPA while doing 3 part-time jobs to help build up the savings account my parents had started for me when I was born. My name is Emma. That was the day I saw my family for who they truly were. "What do you mean the account is empty?" I asked my mom, my hand shaking as I held the bank statement. "There should be over $50,000 in there." Mom didn't look up. She just stirred her coffee and said calmly, "Lauren needed it more than you did. Honey, you're smart. You'll figure something out." I felt dizzy. Lauren needed my college money for what? Just then, my sister walked into the kitchen, dressed in expensive clothes I'd never seen before. A new iPhone stuck out of her Gucci bag. "Oh my God, is this about the money?" Lauren rolled her eyes. "You're being so dramatic." I needed to make a name for myself before starting my influencer career. These days, image is everything. "You used my college money on clothes and stuff?" My voice cracked. "Mom? Dad? You let her do this?" Dad came in holding a newspaper. "Sweetheart, your sister has a real chance at becoming famous online. It's an investment in her future. You can still go to community college." I felt like I'd been hit. An investment? What about my future? Lauren actually laughed. "Please, like you could even handle Harvard. You should be thanking me for saving you from failure." Mom sighed and said, "We always knew Lauren had something special. You're more practical. You'll do well anywhere." I stood up so fast my chair fell over. Practical? I worked 3 jobs and kept straight A's. That money was for my education. "Oh, stop being selfish," Lauren snapped. "I already have 20,000 followers. Once I make it big, I'll pay you back double." "When did you take it?" I asked. "How long have you been lying to me?" Mom and Dad looked at each other. Then Dad said quietly, "We moved it into Lauren's account about 7 months ago. She had a solid plan." 7 months. I cut in. While I was working extra hours at the diner and applying for scholarships, Lauren was spending the money. She spun around, showing off her new outfit. "Don't you think I look amazing? This is what success looks like, Emma." Something inside me snapped. I didn't say a word. I just walked to my room, opened my closet, and started packing. My hands were calm. My thoughts were clear. I could hear them talking in the kitchen.
"She'll get over it," Mom said.
"She always does." "Should we check on her?" Dad asked. "Let her throw her little tantrum," Lauren replied. "She's just jealous of my future." I zipped up my suitcase and went back to the kitchen. "I'm leaving," I said. "Don't be silly," Mom said with a smirk. "Where would you even go?" "Anywhere but here." I took out my phone and called my friend Scott. "Hey, can I stay with you for a while?" "Of course," he said right away. "Are you okay?" "I'll explain when I get there." I hung up and looked at my family one last time. "You know what's funny?" I said. "I always knew Lauren was your favorite, but I never thought you'd steal from me just to prove it." "We didn't steal anything," Dad said. "We just moved family money around." "Save it," I said, walking to the door. "I hope those followers are worth it, Lauren, because you paid for them with my trust and respect." "Don't be so dramatic," Mom said. "I'm not being dramatic. I'm being practical, remember? And practically speaking, I don't have a family anymore." I left, dragging my suitcase behind me. As I stepped onto the sidewalk, I heard Lauren yell, "You'll regret this when I'm famous." I didn't look back. All I had was $580.87 in my own account, a part-time job at a diner, and an acceptance letter to a school I couldn't afford anymore. But I also had something more important, a strong will to prove them all wrong. Scott was waiting outside his apartment when I got there, 30 minutes later. He took one look at me and knew something bad had happened. "Want to talk about it?" he asked, helping me carry my suitcase. I took a deep breath.
"Yeah.
But first, I need to figure out how to apply for student loans. I'm going to Harvard, with or without their help." Living in Scott's spare room wasn't how I pictured starting this chapter of my life. but it was still better than staying in that house. The first week was the hardest. I kept waking up confused, reaching for my old alarm clock, then remembering I wasn't home anymore. "You need to eat something," Scott said one morning, sliding a plate of scrambled eggs across the kitchen counter. "You've got that financial aid meeting at Harvard today." I moved the scrambled eggs around with my fork. What's the point? Even with loans and financial help, I'm still short by thousands. "We'll figure it out," Scott said, sitting next to me. "But you're not quitting. I watched you work so hard for 2 years. I'm not going to let your sister's shopping ruin your future." The financial aid officer's name was Jacqueline, and that afternoon, she changed my life. "Your case is unusual," she said while looking over my papers. "But it's not impossible. Tell me, Emma, how badly do you want to go to Harvard?" "More than anything," I said right away. "I'll work 3 jobs if I have to." Jacqueline smiled. "That won't be necessary. We have a work-study program in my department. It won't cover everything, but with loans and a partial scholarship, I think we can make this happen. The only thing is, you'll need to take fewer classes. It may take 3 years instead of 4. "I'll take it," I said without thinking. "I don't care if it takes 7 years." That evening, I picked up an extra shift at the diner to celebrate. It felt strange to celebrate by working more, but I was happy to have a chance at all. While I was refilling coffee cups, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Lauren. "OMG sis. Just hit 25K followers. Told you it was a good investment. Miss you." I deleted it without replying. Months passed. I got used to my new routine: classes in the morning, work-study in the afternoon, diner shifts at night. Scott's spare room became my little home, filled with used furniture I'd bought from yard sales. One evening, as we ate takeout, Scott said, "You should see their Facebook pages. Lauren's influencer thing isn't really working. Your dad's business isn't doing great either." "I don't want to know," I said, focusing on my noodles. "They're not my problem anymore." But that night, I ended up looking anyway. Lauren's follower count had stopped growing. Her latest posts were just ads for weird weight loss teas. Mom's usual cheerful posts had turned more serious, talking about tough times and having faith. The next morning, during our work-study shift, Jacqueline saw me yawn. "Late night?" she asked, handing me a pile of files to sort. "Just thinking too much," I said. Then I paused. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "How do you know when you've made the right decision?" Jacqueline put down her coffee. "Is this about your family?" I nodded slightly. "Emma," she said gently, "you're not the first student I've met whose family let them down. But you're one of the few who used that pain to push forward. The right choice isn't always the easy one. Sometimes it hurts, but it helps you grow." I looked down. "I just feel lost sometimes. I feel like I'm floating with no anchor," I said. "Then build new anchors," Jacqueline replied calmly. "Make your own support system. Look around you, you've already started." She was right. With Scott's constant support, Jacqueline's guidance, and my own stubborn will, I was slowly building something new, something that was mine. That night at the diner, I overheard 3 customers talking about a new tech company that was changing financial software. They said the company was hiring entry-level programmers. "Excuse me," I said, setting down their coffee. I couldn't help overhearing. "I'm studying computer science at Harvard." 3 weeks later, I left the diner for a paid internship at that company. It paid double what I earned at the diner. When I told Scott, he took me out to celebrate. "To new beginnings," he said, raising his glass. "And to old friends," I added, clinking my glass with his. "I wouldn't have made it without you." "Come on," he laughed. "You did all the hard work. I just gave you a couch." My phone buzzed. Another message from Lauren. "Mom and Dad are worried. At least let them know you're okay." I turned off my phone and looked at Scott. "Tell me about your day instead." As we laughed and talked, I realized Jacqueline had been right. I was building new anchors. I was creating my own kind of family. And for the first time since that day in the kitchen, I felt truly okay. What I didn't know was that in a few years, the same people who once laughed at my dreams would come asking for my help. But that's a different story, one that proves karma always arrives right on time. 3 years after I left my childhood home, I stood on Harvard's graduation stage. My heart raced as they called my name. I had turned that internship into a full-time job and still managed to graduate with honors, even if it took me longer. "Emma," Scott yelled from the crowd, whistling. Jacqueline was beside him, smiling proudly like a parent. Later, at a small dinner Scott had organized, Jacqueline handed me an envelope. "Open it," she said, almost jumping with excitement. Inside was a job offer, Director of Student Financial Services at Harvard. "But this is your job," I said, surprised. "It was my job," she replied. "I'm moving to the dean's office, and I recommended you. You've lived it, Emma. You understand what students like you need. Who better to help them?" I looked at the salary number and almost choked on my drink. It was more money than I ever thought I'd make, and I still planned to keep my tech job part-time. Speech. Scott called, raising his glass. "To the two people who became my real family." "I'm the one who made it," I said quietly. "The one who believed in me when my own family didn't." "Speaking of family," Scott said gently, sliding his phone across the table. "You might want to see this." It was a local news article. "McCoy Technologies files for bankruptcy," the headline read. That was my father's company, something he once cared about more than anything. Now it was failing. The article talked about growing debt and poor management. "There's more," Scott said. He showed me Lauren's Instagram. Her follower count had dropped a lot. Her latest post was a video of her crying. She said she got scammed by a fake modeling agency and had lost thousands of dollars, probably the last of what used to be my college fund. "Are you okay?" Jacqueline asked softly. "Honestly," I said, handing the phone back to Scott. "I feel nothing. They made their choice 3 years ago." The next morning, I walked into my new office at Harvard, ready to start my first day. By lunchtime, I had already helped 2 students figure out their financial aid. As I was working on another case, my office phone rang. "Emma, it's Mom." I froze. "How did you get this number?" "Your old friend Madison works in administration," she said quickly. "Please don't hang up. We need to talk." "We needed to talk 3 years ago," I said coldly. "Before you let Lauren take away my future." "She didn't steal it." Mom started, then stopped. "Look, things are bad right now. Your father's business is gone. Lauren's investments failed. We're losing the house." "That sounds like a personal problem," I replied. "We're family," she said softly. I laughed. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't call your dreams silly. Family doesn't treat you like you don't matter. "We made a mistake," she said quickly. "We know that now. Please, can we just meet? Have dinner? Your father and Lauren will be there. We want to fix things." I was about to say no when I remembered something Jacqueline had told me years ago. Sometimes the right choice is the one that hurts, but helps you grow. "Fine," I said at last. "Friday night. Send me the details." After I hung up, I called Scott. "They want to meet," I told him. "Are you going?" he asked. "Yes," I said, taking a deep breath. "But not for them. For me. I want them to see what they lost." That evening, I stood in front of the mirror, fixing my blazer. The woman staring back at me wasn't the scared girl who left home with just a suitcase. She looked strong, confident, and complete. My phone buzzed with a message from Lauren. "Can't wait to see you, sis. We have so much to catch up on." I thought about how many times I had dreamed of this moment, the chance to show them they were wrong about me. But now that it was real, I understood something important. I didn't need their approval anymore. "You don't have to go," Scott said. When I called Scott again, he said, "I know you're going." "I am," I said, grabbing my car keys. "But I want to. I'm also curious to see what they think making things right means." "Want me to come with you?" he offered. "No," I replied, thinking about the folder I had prepared. It held old bank statements, certificates of my achievements, and my new business cards. I can handle this. As I drove to the restaurant, I thought about how life sometimes comes full circle. 3 years ago, they had laughed at my dreams. Now they were the ones needing my help. I noticed the irony, but I wasn't the same girl they had once hurt. I was stronger now, smarter, and I had a feeling this dinner was going to be very interesting. The restaurant they picked wasn't as fancy as the ones they used to go to. I saw them right away. Mom was nervously fixing her fake handbag, Dad looked tired in an old suit, and Lauren was picking at her chipped nail polish. Emma. Lauren stood up, arms open for a hug. I didn't hug her back. Her fancy clothes were gone. Now she wore cheap, basic ones. Let's skip the act, I said, sitting down. You didn't invite me for a family catch-up. Mom looked sad. Can't we just talk first? You look so different. Success does that, I said, placing my folder on the table. So, who wants to begin? Dad, how's the business? He winced. It's been tough. The market. Filed for bankruptcy, I said, finishing the sentence. Lauren, how's the influencer life? She stared at her water. That's not fair. Neither was stealing my college fund, I replied. But here we are. Emma, Mom said gently, we know we made mistakes, but we're still family. Family? I opened my folder and took out an old bank statement. Let's talk about family. Here's the account you emptied, $52,000. My entire future. We can explain, Dad began. I'm not done, I said, pulling out my Harvard acceptance letter. Remember this? The one you said I couldn't handle? Well, guess what? I slid my diploma across the table. I graduated with honors. And I worked 2 jobs while doing it. Lauren's eyes widened when she saw my business card. Director of Student Financial Services. You work in tech too? She asked. That's right. Turns out I'm not just practical. I'm actually very successful. I leaned back. So tell me, why am I really here? Mom started crying. We're losing everything, Emma. The house, the cars. Your dad's business is gone. The modeling agency scammed me, Lauren added quietly. All my followers left when I couldn't keep up the image. Dad cleared his throat. We need help. Alone. Just until we get back on our feet. I didn't say anything. I let the silence sit. A waiter came by, but I waved him away. How much? I asked. 80,000, Dad mumbled. To keep the house and pay off urgent debts. I took out my phone and opened my banking app. I could transfer it right now. I have the money. Their faces lit up with hope. But before I do anything, I continued, I want you to explain something to me. That day in the kitchen, when you told me I wasn't good enough for Harvard, did you actually believe that? We were wrong, Mom whispered. So wrong. That's not what I asked. I put my phone away. Did you believe it? Lauren looked up, her voice barely a whisper. I did. I thought I was better than you, that I deserved more. But now I know I was just selfish and foolish. She wiped her tears. I ruined your dreams for some likes on Instagram. Dad reached across the table. Please, sweetheart. If we lose the house, your mom and sister have nowhere to go. I stood up and picked up my folder. I'll think about it. That's it. Lauren's voice cracked. You're just leaving? Unlike some people, I said, putting on my coat. I don't make big money decisions on a whim. I'll let you know in 4 days. Wait, Mom called out as I turned toward the door. What happened to you? You used to be so kind. I stopped and looked at them. I grew up. I learned that the people who are supposed to love you the most can sometimes hurt you the worst. And I learned I'm worth more than you ever believed. We know that now, Lauren said softly. No, I corrected her. You know you need me now. That's not the same. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Scott. How'd it go? I typed back. They need $80,000. They're desperate. He replied right away. What are you going to do? I smiled, thinking about the document I had asked my lawyer to prepare the day before, just in case. They thought they were asking for a loan. But I had a different plan. One that would make them face what they did to me. Step by step. Dollar by dollar. They wanted help? Fine. But this time, it would be on my terms. I started my car, already thinking through the details of the agreement in my mind. In 2 days, They would find out exactly who their practical daughter had become. 2 days later, I walked into my lawyer's office.
My family was already sitting there.
Their faces lit up when they saw me, but their smiles faded fast when they saw the thick stack of papers in my hands. "What's this?" Dad asked, looking at the document. "My terms," I said, sitting down and sliding a copy to each of them. "You want $80,000? Here's how you'll get it." Mom opened the folder, her hand shaking. "A contract? But we're family." "Family didn't stop you from stealing from me," I said calmly. I nodded at my lawyer. "Please explain the terms." He cleared his throat. "The $80,000 will be given in monthly payments of $10,000, but only if all conditions are followed." "Conditions?" Lauren interrupted. "What conditions?" "First," I said, "Lauren needs to get a real job. No more influencing or modeling. A real 9-to-5 job. And every month, she must put half of her salary into a scholarship fund I'm creating for students whose families left them with nothing." Lauren's face turned red. "That's not fair." "Second," I continued, "Dad has to take a financial class and work with a court-appointed bankruptcy advisor. No more risky business deals." Dad opened his mouth to argue, but I raised my hand to stop him. "Third, Mom must volunteer 12 hours a week at the university's financial aid office, helping students figure out how to pay for college when their own families don't help." "This is crazy," Mom said. "We came here asking for help, not punishment." "No," I said firmly. "You came asking for money. I'm offering a second chance." "There's more," my lawyer added, turning the page. "The house will be sold. A smaller, cheaper home will be bought using some of the money. The rest will go to pay off debts." "Sell the house," Dad shouted. "That's our home." "No," I said, leaning forward. "It's a symbol of pride you can't afford anymore. Just like my college fund was supposed to be protected, but you took it anyway." Lauren kept reading the contract. Her face went pale. "It says here we have to go to family therapy. All of us. Every month." I met their shocked faces. "You want to talk about being a family? Then let's do it with a professional. Let's talk about what really happened 3 years ago. And if we say no?" Mom whispered. "Then you get nothing," I said, standing up. "You have 2 hours to decide. I'll be in the coffee shop downstairs." Scott was waiting for me there. "How did they take it?" he asked. "Exactly how I expected," I said, stirring my coffee. "They thought I'd just hand over the money and forget everything they did." "Will they sign it?" "They don't have a choice," I replied. "The bank is taking the house next month, and Lauren's credit is ruined from her failed influencer dreams." 50 minutes later, my lawyer called. "They're ready to talk." When I returned, they were sitting close together, looking tired and defeated. "Before you sign," I said, "there's one thing I want you to understand. This isn't revenge. It's about being responsible." "It feels like punishment," Lauren said quietly. "Really?" I said. "To me, it feels like a chance. A chance you never gave me." I pulled out my pen. "I'll sign first, to show I'm serious about all of it, even the therapy." Dad picked up his pen next. "We really don't have a choice, do we?" "You always have a choice," I said. "Just like you had one 3 years ago." Then I watched as he signed. The difference was, this time, they finally understood the cost of what they'd done. "I'm giving you a chance to make the right choice," I said. Mom signed next, her tears falling onto the paper. Lauren signed last. Her hand shook, but she still did it. "What now?" she asked. "Now," I said, gathering the contracts. "You start over, just like I had to. The first $10,000 will be sent tomorrow." "Lauren," I added, "I've set up 3 job interviews for you next week." "Dad, your first financial class starts Sunday." "And the therapy?" Mom asked. "First session is Friday at 5 p.m. Don't be late." I handed each of them a signed copy. "Welcome to your fresh start. Try not to waste it this time." As they walked out, Lauren stayed behind. "Why are you really doing this?" she asked. "You could have just said no." I thought about the scared girl I used to be, the one packing her bags with shaking hands. I thought of Scott offering me a couch, of Jacqueline guiding me, of working late nights and waking up early for classes. Because someone once told me, I said, that the right choice isn't always the easy one. I looked her in the eyes. Sometimes it's the one that hurts, but helps you grow. She nodded slowly. I could see she understood. After she left, I pulled out my phone and texted Scott. They signed. All of them. He replied right away. You're either the kindest person I know or the smartest. I smiled. Maybe I was both. The first family therapy session was just as uncomfortable as I thought it would be. We sat in a circle. No one spoke at first. The room felt heavy with silence. Dr. Joyce, our therapist, watched us patiently. Let's start with the day Emma found out her college fund was gone, she said. Do we have to? Lauren asked, shifting in her seat. Yes, I said firmly. We do. I remember thinking I deserved more, Lauren said after a long pause. I had this big dream to be famous. I thought I needed the money more than Emma. And now? Dr. Joyce asked. Now I'm a junior assistant, Lauren said, her voice breaking. I make coffee for people Emma's age, people already doing what I hope to do. I wasted everything. Her money.
My time.
My future. Mom reached for a tissue. We allowed it, she said softly. We really thought that I wasn't worth investing in. I finished. That I was just the practical one, the backup plan. No, Dad said quickly. We never thought. Really? I said, pulling out my phone. I played the video I had secretly recorded 3 years ago. Their own voices filled the room. Lauren has that special something. You're more practical. Like you could handle Harvard anyway. Dr. Joyce watched their faces closely. That must have been hard to hear again, she said. I listen to it sometimes, I admitted. When I start doubting myself, it reminds me how far I've come. Lauren broke down crying. I was awful. I can't believe I laughed at your dreams. Why do you think you did that, Lauren? Dr. Joyce asked gently. I was scared of failing, Lauren blurted out. Emma always knew what she wanted. She worked hard and had real goals. I thought if I became famous quickly, it would prove I was special too. The therapy session continued, slowly uncovering years of jealousy, hurt, and wrong choices. By the end, we were all emotionally drained. In the parking lot, Lauren walked up to me. I got my first paycheck yesterday, she said. I know, I replied. The scholarship fund received your deposit. It felt good, actually earning something real, she said quietly. Then she paused. One of my coworkers said their IT department is hiring. I thought, maybe I could take some coding classes. I looked at her, trying to see if the old, spoiled Lauren was still there. But she looked different now, more humble, maybe even serious. The community college has great night classes, I said at last. I can help you apply. The next week, Dad called and asked, would you mind coming to my financial class? There's something I want to say. I found him standing at the front of the room, hands slightly shaking. This is my daughter Emma, he told the other struggling business owners. 3 years ago, I used her college fund to pay for my other daughter's influencer dreams. I lost everything, my business, our home, and most of all, my daughter's trust. Don't make the same mistake. Don't let your pride blind you to what truly matters. Later, over coffee, he showed me a new budget plan. The advisor said if we stick to this, we can be debt-free in 2 years, he said. That's great, Dad. He looked down and said quietly, Emma,
I'm sorry.
Not just for the money, but for not believing in you. Mom took longer to change. She was more stubborn. But after a month of volunteering in the financial aid office, she began to see things differently. I met a girl today, she told me during our next therapy session. She reminded me of you, smart, hardworking. But her parents didn't think girls needed college. She wiped her eyes. I helped her find scholarships, loans, and a work-study job. And I kept thinking how no one did that for you. How we did the opposite. Did she get the money she needed? I asked. Mom smiled, with tears in her eyes.
Yes.
She starts next semester. Dr. Joyce leaned forward. How did that feel? Helping her? Like I finally did what a mother should do, Mom said. I supported someone's dreams instead of tearing them down. That evening, as I drove home, Scott called to check in. How was therapy? He asked. Surprising, I said. They're actually trying. Really trying. And how do you feel about that? I thought about Lauren's coding classes, Dad's apology, and Mom's slow change. Hopeful, I said. Careful, but hopeful. And proud, I added. Not just because I made it through everything, but because I gave them the chance to grow, too. I pulled into my driveway. Even if it took a contract to get here, it was worth it. That's because you're not just the practical one anymore, Scott said. You're the strong one. The wise one. He was right. I wasn't just surviving now, I was thriving. And somehow, I was also helping my family grow too. This time on my terms. 7 months into our agreement, I sat in the audience at Lauren's community college. She was giving a presentation for her beginner programming class. Her hands shook a little as she showed the app she had created, but her voice stayed steady. And that's how I built my first budgeting app, she said. It was inspired by my own struggles with handling money. During the question and answer part, someone asked about her past as an influencer. Actually, Lauren said, looking at me in the crowd, that wasn't a real career. That was me taking my sister's future because I was too scared to build my own. But this, learning to code, working, creating something useful, this is my real career. After the presentation, I met her in the hallway. So, she asked nervously, what did you think? The code still needs work, I answered honestly. But the idea is strong. I thought maybe it could help college students avoid the same mistakes I made, she said, hugging her laptop. Would you help me improve it? Before I could reply, Mom and Dad walked up. They had arrived late. Sorry we missed the presentation, Dad said. My financial class went over time. But look. He held up a certificate. I finished the course. I helped 3 students get full scholarships today, Mom added. One of them cried. I used to think tears like that were too much, but now. How about we talk about Lauren's app over dinner? I offered. I know a great Thai place nearby. At the restaurant, Lauren laid out her notes. Dad looked over the cost estimates for building the app. This could work, he said. Start small. With the right plan? No more shortcuts, Lauren said firmly. No quick money tricks. I want to do this the right way, slow and steady. Emma, that's why I need you. Not for shortcuts, but real help. Something changed in me at that moment. Okay, I said. But we do this my way. Real development steps, testing, a slow launch. Deal? She smiled wide.
Deal.
Thank you, sis. Later that week, during therapy, Dr. Joyce noticed the change. Lauren is asking for help instead of taking, she said. Emma is guiding instead of judging. That's real progress. I've been thinking, Mom said suddenly, about the scholarship fund. What if we all added to it? Not just Lauren's share? We could call it the Second Chance Fund, Dad said. For students who need one. For students who need help starting over, Dad added. I felt tears in my eyes. You'd really do that? We owe you so much more than money, Lauren said quietly. We owe you a whole future, one we tried to take from you. Maybe now we can help other students get the chances we almost stole. Dr. Joyce smiled. Emma, how does that make you feel? Like I matter, I said softly. Like you finally understand how much education means, how much dreams mean. After the session, Dad pulled me aside. The house goes on the market next week. Are you okay with that? No, he admitted. But I'm learning that being okay doesn't always matter as much as doing what's right. We found a smaller place, closer to Lauren's school, your mom's volunteer work, and your new job. He gave a small smile. Being a junior accountant at 70 wasn't my plan. But it's honest work, and it means something now. That night, I met Scott for our weekly dinner. You look deep in thought, he said. Lauren asked for help with her app today. She actually asked. And I wanted to help. I really wanted to. I pushed my food around. Is that strange after everything? No, Scott said. That's growth. For both of you. My phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. Reviewed your coding suggestions. They make so much sense now. Thank you for being patient with me. Coffee tomorrow to go over the next module. As I typed back, yes, something hit me. The contract I wrote 7 months ago wasn't just changing them. It was changing me too. The walls I'd built to protect myself were slowly turning into bridges. You know what's funny? I told Scott. I made that contract to make them see what they did to me. But watching them actually do the work, it's healing something in me too. That's because you're giving them what they didn't give you, Scott said. A real chance to be better. I thought about Lauren's app, Dad's new job, and Mom helping students every week. Small steps, but real ones. Honest changes, not fake ones to impress me. Maybe that's what real family does, I said. Not just love each other, but help each other grow. The final payment from the contract hit my account on a Saturday morning. I stare at the notification, thinking of the scared girl I used to be, leaving home with nothing but a suitcase and determination. Now, I was sitting in my office at Harvard. I pulled out the contract that had changed everything.
Just then, my phone buzzed.
A message from Lauren. Check the App Store, we're live. I opened the store and found it right away. Fresh Start Finance, building better financial futures. Under the description were 2 names, Lauren, lead developer, and me, project advisor. 500 downloads already, Scott said, poking his head into my office. Not bad for day 1. Did you see the dedication page? He leaned over my shoulder as I scrolled. I tapped through the app. There was written in plain text, to my sister Emma, who taught me that real success comes from hard work, not shortcuts. Thank you for my second chance.
The door opened again.
Mom walked in, wearing her volunteer badge and carrying a stack of papers. 2 more full scholarships approved, she said proudly. The Second Chance Fund is really helping. You should see the students' faces when they find out they can actually go to college. Dad came behind her, fixing his tie. The quarterly report is ready, he said. So far, we've helped 29 students. I looked at them closely, really looked. Mom's pride wasn't about looks or image anymore. It was about making a difference. Dad's confidence came from steady, honest work, not risky business deals. And Lauren? She had traded social media filters for computer code. She was building something real. Family therapy in 40 minutes, Lauren reminded us. Dr. Joyce had said it was time to talk about ending our sessions. Are we ready for that? Mom asked. I think we are, I said, surprising even myself. Look at us, Lauren laughed. We're actually talking, really listening. Back then, Dad said, we couldn't even look at each other. We were all carrying shame. I felt like I failed as a father. I was ashamed of what I did, Lauren added. And I was guilty for letting it happen, Mom said. And I was angry, I added. So angry I needed a contract just to get you to change. That contract saved us, Mom said softly. Not just financially. It made us face who we were. Scott cleared his throat. Speaking of facing things, Emma, should we tell them? I stood up. We're getting married. Small ceremony next month. Oh, honey. Mom stepped forward, then paused. Would it be okay if I helped plan it? For a second, that old fear came back. Would she take over and make it all about appearances again? But I looked at her and saw something different. Honest hope in her eyes. Actually, I said, I'd really like that. Lauren wiped her eyes. So, does this mean we're really a family again? We're something even better, I said. A family that learned from our mistakes. One that grew stronger from what we went through. When we arrived at Dr. Joyce's office, she greeted us warmly. So, you're here to talk about ending the sessions? Yes, I said. The contract is complete. All the terms were met. Every payment made. And how do you feel about that? I looked around at the people sitting beside me, not just my family by name, but my real family, rebuilt from the hurt and mistakes of the past. I feel like we don't need a contract anymore. They proved who they are, Dad said. By keeping promises, Mom added. By earning trust again, Lauren finished. Dr. Joyce smiled. Then I have one final question, Emma. What would you do if they needed help again? I'd help, I said without hesitation. Not because I have to. I trust who they are now, I said. And we'd accept help if we needed it, Lauren added, but only after trying to fix things ourselves first. Dr. Joyce nodded. That's how I know you're ready. Later at dinner, Scott lifted his glass. To the strongest family I know. To second chances, Dad said. To doing the hard work, Mom added. To building something real, Lauren said with a smile. I looked around at them, the family that had once fallen apart, now healing, and raised my glass too, to growing together. As we ate, talked, and laughed, I thought about the contract that started it all. It was still filed safely in my office.
Back then, we needed that contract.
We needed the rules and the consequences to force us to face the truth. But now, we didn't need it anymore. What we had was stronger than any paper. We had trust, built from nothing. We had understanding, earned through effort. We had love, tested, proven, and real. We had finally become the family we should have been all along. And that meant more than any college fund ever could. Ready to go home? Scott asked as we finished dinner. I looked at my family, my true family, and smiled. I am home,